What's up, Sushi Squad? We are back in small patch notes. Yes, that's right. Whoops. Forgot my light wasn't on. So today we've actually got a new patch. Yay. It's not on console. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, maybe. Okay, I'll talk about it in a minute, but basically on PC, we've got the Bomber Royale Season 3 content already. I'll probably end up doing some unboxing videos, could play Bomber with you guys, but frankly speaking, I've put so many hours into Bomber Royale, this update really doesn't excite me at all. Like, if I'm being perfectly honest, I could care less. Anyways, the update in question also ended up going out on consoles, where you guys ended up reporting to me that the update was anywhere from 300 to 600 megabytes, depending on your version of Trove, you know, which console you're playing on, right? But here's the interesting thing. The only thing that you guys ended up getting on consoles was the new Spring Fling event, which I've got another video that's talking about how you actually complete the event today as well. Which is interesting to me because that tells me that they've already added a lot of assets for the Shadowhunter update and possibly even the Bomber Royale content. And it does mean that there is a possibility that you might get the update today. Maybe. I don't know. Usually what they do with console is they'll end up having updates for you guys on Monday or Wednesday. So it's just a guess. Okay, I don't want to get you guys overly hyped or anything like that. But if you do notice that there's an update on console and you end up getting the update, well, let me know in the Discord, yell at me, because I'll probably end up being there all day long. And then I can end up, you know, having a video talking about it just to let everybody know, hey, man, log into Trove. Anyways, let's get on with the patch notes itself. Okay, so they're proud to announce Bomber Royale Season 3 is now live on PC. Jump into the action and discover new Bomber Royale rewards, maps, bombs, and brand new queuing system. Nobody asked for, but I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. I do appreciate the queue system. Frankly speaking, they did have that coded in the delves, so it's about time they added it to other functions of the game. So here's an overview of today's patch. PC only. I like how they just keep pointing that out. So Bomber Royale Season 3, here we go. Bomber Royale has been refreshed with new maps. These are probably my least favorite maps of Bomber ever to be created. New bombs, new rewards, and a new queue system, and new options to have private matches as well. Not on custom maps though. That would get me hyped for Bomber if we could play Bomber Royale on our own custom PvP maps and stuff like that. Speaking of which, let me actually change the setting here to be something a little bit more appropriate by going to, yeah, we'll go to the giant kitchen. Yeah, it's a nicer backdrop. Like, could you imagine this map with Bomber? Well, this not the best map with Bomber, but anyways, I'm just saying. So there's going to end up being 4 new maps added: Broken Towers, The Pit, Dubstep Blast, and Serenity. As if these, as if these names have any like anything to tell us about it. But these maps are smaller than the existing maps in order to encourage faster and more engaging matches. I can confirm 100% that that is false, because even though they ended up making the maps a little bit smaller thematically, they have a lot more verticality on them. Like these are actually miniature versions of these maps, so you can kind of get a little bit of an idea of them. But rest assured, these matches, I don't know, I don't like these maps. They're too simple and straightforward, and they just don't really have any character to them. I'm sorry to whoever ended up building these. You know, I'm not trying to sound like a jerk or anything, but I personally just really do not like these maps. These are some of my least favorite. And unfortunately, with all the verticality, it means the rounds just kind of stagnate on for a while, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I just don't like Bomber Royale anymore, so don't mind me. Anyways, there is going to end up being 3 new power-ups as well. So there's the Critter Bomb, which is a cage that does not bounce but breaks open and releases critters that attack opponents. This replaces rubber bombs and is limited to a single use. The Trap Bomb, which is a trap with a delayed arming phase before exploding when any other player approaches. So you can basically put it down and forget about it, and if somebody goes near it, it explodes. This trap behaves like a sticky bomb, and obtaining one will overwrite the other. So you kind of have to pick and choose. Do you want a sticky bomb or do you want trap bombs? little too many power-ups. Even though I like these new power-ups, I think it's, you know, a little too much there. Energy power-up, a single use ability that refills energy to 100%. This competes with the health power-up. Obtaining one will overwrite the other. Players can no longer use E, or the interact button on console whenever this update ends up going live. You can't use the pickup items button in order to pick up power-ups while they're ahead of you without running into them. So they changed it now, so you could, normally in Bomber, you could grab an item from over here, which was actually kind of fun. It made it a little faster paced. Now you have to go and stand on it specifically in order to end up picking it up, which, you know, it's not that I'm necessarily complaining about that. It's just a weird change that I don't really feel was an issue, but that's because I'm just an old school Bomber player. The Bomber Royale queue. So now players will be placed into a queue for Bomber Royale matches similar to the queue in the delves rather than immediately being transported to the glass cage. Players can change worlds and otherwise continue to play the game as usual. So we can actually just open up the queue with the hotkey right now or go interact with a portal, and then we get this little bomb icon on our head. And we instantly get into a round just because so many people are playing Bomber right now. And let me show you what an average Bomber Royale match looks like while we kind of read the rest of the patch notes. Hopefully I don't get sniped, but it's probably going to happen just because everyone sees how glowy and beautiful I am, and handsome and attractive, and you know, I'm a dinosaur. So after dying in a match, players can rejoin the queue and spectate the other players until the match triggers, or until the queue triggers, sorry. And if a player is in both a Bomber Royale and a Delves queue, whichever one shows up first will end up putting you into the match. So it'll either put you into a Delve or into a you know, a Bomber match. And then once you're already thrown into it, well, then there you go. It'll kind of just, it's like they're kind of fighting for your attention, and then whichever one gets you wins, basically, right? But this is what keeps happening. This is what's happening in Bomber. Look at this. It's already down to 5 people, not because everybody's dying, okay? Like, lots of people are dying, yes. But you'll notice that lots of people are just jumping off. Lots of people are just respawning instantly, you know, and the round just kind of stagnates on, you know, like it just kind of happens. Like, now that we're at 4 people are getting a little bit more aggressive, because if you end up getting top 3, you end up getting a little bit more blast coins. But generally speaking, it's actually kind of sucks that the devs ended up making all of these changes to Bomber that a lot of players just don't really care about, because the average player, myself included, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I have to admit this, will usually just get into the game and respawn right away to get a single token, because it's usually faster and more efficient to respawn and get 1 token than it is to spend 5 minutes, that's all it might take to end up going through a whole Bomber match, to end up getting a couple more tokens. Unless you end up, you know, maybe you're really good at Bomber and you can get the 5 tokens consistently or something. Okay, whatever, I don't know. But usually people just go in, grab the first block or whatever, and then they just leave, right? And then you could re-queue, you could spectate, whatever. And it's a shame. It really is. Like, I hate to admit that I do it as well, but it's like, I have no incentive to try and stick it out through the round when I could just be lazy and just respawn to get a single coin, which I'm so lazy, I'm not even gonna do that, because there's going to end up being these new Bomber boxes, which we'll talk about momentarily, and that's what I'm gonna do to get all the Bomber stuff. Anyways, let's move on. So private Bomber Royale matches are now a thing. Players can now obtain gateways for a private Bomber Royale match, which cost Bomber tokens to actually craft, so I don't know anyone on this earth that would ever end up actually buying them. But anyways, these are available for each new map and can be found on the Bomber Royale bench, which, let me actually go into the club world so you can show you guys some of this. These games do not count towards leaderboard stats or give blast coins as rewards, but allow for a quick match with friends or club members, which, again, I like that. It's a step in the right direction, and I understand the reason why they don't give us rewards for that, because then people would just cheese it, right? Like, people would end up going into a match and they would just die over and over again, so that they could end up getting the maximum amount of tokens without putting any effort in. Oh, really, developers? Because even in the public matches, people are still doing it. So if you put private matches into the game and allow players to actually end up obtaining rewards through private matches, guess what's going to happen? People that go into public Bomber is more than likely going to actually go there to play rather than just to get the rewards, because everyone who's just getting the rewards is just respawning anyway, so they may as well just go to private matches. That's my 2 cents towards it. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. Whatever. Who cares? That's the real bottom line. Let's take a look. So the private portals, you can see there's all of the different levels and so on and so forth. Okay, whatever, including some of the older levels. But you'll see these only cost like 5 tokens. You know, it's really not that bad. But that still does mean you gotta go into a few rounds. Even if you want to just play with your friends, you gotta go into a few rounds, at least 5, respawn over and over, just so you can play a round where you don't get any rewards anyways. You know, it just, I don't know. There's just so many weird decisions that I just personally don't really understand. Like, if they wanted to make Bomber Royale exciting, I feel like they should have taken this in a different way. But I'm sorry, I don't mean to be so critical. So anyways, after placing a matchmaker portal, you can force start a match with 2 to 20 players. So that could end up being fun with you guys. I would definitely be down to play private portals on play private matches with you guys on stream. However, after dying in a private match, players can continue to spectate or be returned to their starting world. 5 coins each match. Anyways, Bomber Royale rewards. So there's new temporary golden Bomber Royale bomb styles that have been added to the leaderboards for the top 100 players for kills, games won, and direct damage dealt in Bomber Royale for that week. Decoration banners have also been added to the leaderboards for players with 10 or the top 10 kills, games won, and direct damage dealt in Bomber. These banners can only be placed on cornerstones, not even in club worlds. Then what's the point? All previous season rewards are now available for burnt coins. This is actually a very welcome change. So if you didn't know, with all the previous Bomber stuff, there was basically seasonal tokens. They were season 1, season 2. And now they've actually changed it so that instead of a season 3 token, we just have blast coins is the main currency, and then any of the old stuff, so season 1, season 2, both of those are now just burnt coins. And you can see that you can end up getting all of the stuff for burnt coins. You can do a burnt coin conversion, so you can actually convert your season 1 tokens, your season 2 tokens. And the funny thing is that with the season 1 and season 2 tokens, you can only carry 300 of these, but with burnt tokens, there doesn't seem to be a cap, which is nice. However, blast coins do have a cap at 300, so eventually, once you've already gotten everything, I guess you could end up spending on the consumables, which we'll talk about in a minute, to consistently spend your tokens, because otherwise, for the most part, you know, you're gonna get everything and then move on, right? Like, there's not really any incentive to keep playing Bomber. Anyways, all previous season rewards available for burnt coins, a new currency, blah 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 blah. Yeah, they mentioned just all the same stuff I just did. The Bomber bench has also been reorganized, as you saw plainly. There is going to end up being 2 new allies for the season 1 and season 2 stuff, which is going to end up being these allies right here. I already have an error video from the test server with my buddy Joe showing me all of these items, which, you know, I'll end up doing an updated video to that whenever I end up finding the time to get all of the items, or frankly speaking, get them all out of the new token boxes or whatever. But anyways, the store boxes, I mean. So there's also going to end up being players can craft a double experience potion, crystalline cores, free range electrolyte crystal. Okay, so these consumables, these are basically going to end up being a craft this item once per week for X amount of blast coins, which it costs a lot of blast coins to end up buying every single one of these items. And frankly speaking, even the burnt coins, like 30 burnt coins for 15 dragon coins. Granted, it's weekly, but still, that is really going to drain my burnt coins if I end up actually crafting these. There's also going to end up being the new items, which are all of these right here, which I already have a video talking about, but will end up showing all of these as I end up slowly getting them, especially this bad boy, the bouncing mount right here, because that is going to end up being the mount that is probably better than Gonda. There's also going to end up being a new dragon, which this guy's pretty annoying, just because basically the way you do it is you gotta spend tons of dragon coins to get fragments, and then you spend those fragments to get the dragon egg, and then you spend those eggs and all of these items to end up getting the actual dragon itself. I mean, granted, you're getting 10 of the eggs per 100 blast coins, but still, that's a lot of matches. No wonder everyone's just respawning over and over. So they also ended up introducing the knockback changes, which I found this to be quite strange because I didn't think that they would end up putting this out yet. But they did. So knockback has been adjusted across the board for both players and enemy attacks. Sorry. High stability values can now have more of a noticeable effect. So those of you that don't know, stability is basically the useless stat in the game that is anti-knockback. So the more stability you have, the less you get knocked around by creatures and stuff, which even though they're trying to end up making it more valuable here, it's still not, because why would you ever end up taking such a useless stat as that versus damage? Stats that end up just making you more powerful. Anyways, damage done relative to the target's maximum health can increase or decrease knockback effect by up to 25%. So your maximum health affects knockback as well, which means tanky classes can kind of just stand there and take it, which is pretty cool. I do appreciate that, even though, you know, there's not really many classes that can tank in this game. So they also go into a little bit more detail, which we'll skip over this just because it can end up being a bit bleh. I'll mention that Boomer, Draco, Candy Bar, Vanguard, and Knight and Revenant have all ended up having similar changes to this example right here, which I'm just going to read Boomer and we'll skip over the rest. So Boomeranger now receives 5% stability as a base stat and receives twice as much stability for each level. +2 at early levels and gradually rising to +10 at level 30. Okay, cool. I don't know what they mean by +2 and +10, whatever. Like, just tell me the numbers of how much it ends up getting. But either way, across the board, all the the classes that I mentioned end up getting some type of knockback resistance. They've also added a few new dungeons to the game. There's going to end up being a bunch of new styles added to the game, including a bunch of new animal masks, which are beautiful, by the way. They also have there it is, the additional updates. So they also ended up breaking the costume category for styles and hats into individual categories for each class. So now we actually have, each class has their own category for helmet styles: pirate captain, shadow hunter, you name it, which awesome. I think that's great, because otherwise it was getting a little bit too crazy trying to end up going through every single one of these, right? They also added magic find potions to the store for whatever reason. I don't know why. So these magic find potions increase your magic find by 1,000 for 1 hour. So count it. That's basically $20 to get 30 hours of 1,000 magic find, which I think they're putting a little too much value on these magic find potions. Now, I do have a theory, which is probably dead wrong. But we've been talking about this many times about how Magic Find as a whole and loot as a whole needs to seriously be overhauled in the game, just because it needs to be a lot more exciting. One of my easy, quick, easy solution that the devs could end up doing off the top of my head would end up being similar to how the signatory ring boxes are, where you basically, you get one of these, it's tradable, and it ends up dropping a certain piece of gear guaranteed up to a certain rank. I think that they should end up adding these loot boxes, because they're already coded into the game, as the new drops that enemies give, so that you could end up having tradable gear. And then you could end up having boxes that would literally just be like, oh, guarantees stellar drop, or crystal drop, or whatever. I think that would be really cool. And I think that if they ended up kind of tweaking Magic Find a little bit better, it might end up making Magic Find a little bit more important. Because as of right now, this is a waste of time and a beginner's trap. So don't do it. They also added bomber boxes and sticky bomber boxes to the more tab of the store. So basically, these bomber boxes are going to end up containing mostly Bomber Royale coins, but they can rarely contain the new bomber stuff. I think they have old bomber stuff as well. Okay, no, it's blast coins and tradable versions of allies, bomb styles, mounts, wings, auras, and golden dragon eggs for Bomber Royale as a whole. So you can get like all of these things as well as all of the previous year's stuff as well. Now, top that with the fact that they also have the Bomber Royale coin boosts, which basically these work the same as the dragon ones, which means that if we end up having this, we'll get double Bomber Royale tokens up to 250. So if we get this, and then we get these bomber boxes, we'll essentially be doubling our bomber coins up to 250, which, you know, means that we would basically get up to 500 bomber coins before it would go back to the normal rate, and then this boost coin wouldn't work anymore. But that's probably what I'm going to do, just because I think that's going to end up being your cheapest bet to try and get all of the new bomber stuff, because you're going to end up getting just tons and tons of blast coins, right? So they also ended up making it so that the old Bomber Royale dragon is now obtainable as through a dragon effigy, and has been set to the legendary dragon section in your collections. Bomb skins for Bomber Royale were previously causing VFX not to display, and will now display the default or custom video effects. So if you didn't know, you can go to the style tab, and then there's these bomb styles right here, which these will end up showing up not only in Bomber Royale, like the Bomber Royale dragons, their fireball is going to end up being affected by the Bomber Royale bomb style that you have equipped. Bless. How many times did I say bomber today? Anyways, guys, there's a couple other additional like notes here, but I'll leave a link in the description to the patch notes itself if you want to end up reading through it. I do appreciate you guys watching though, and you know, listening to my rants and junk like that. Smash like, sub for more, buy the merch you want, support the channel, and have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen.